The Battle of Hattin marked a turning point in history, a day when the tides shifted decisively in favor of the Muslim world. In this episode of our documentary series on Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi, we dive into the events that led to his resounding victory at Hattin and the momentous liberation of Jerusalem. From the parched plains near the Horns of Hattin to the triumphant banners raised over the holy city, Salahuddin's brilliance as a strategist and his unwavering faith reshaped the course of history. What drove this legendary figure to unite a divided Muslim world? How did he outwit the combined might of the Crusader forces, and what lessons does his leadership hold for us today? Join us as we recount the story of a battle that broke the Crusaders' resolve and the triumphant liberation of Jerusalem, where mercy and justice defined the legacy of one of history's greatest leaders. Chapter 2. The Battle of Hattin, 1187. Prelude. The Battle of Hattin was the culmination of years of tension between the Crusader states and Salahuddin. By 1187, Salahuddin had unified most of Syria, Egypt, and parts of Iraq under his rule. The Crusaders, on the other hand, were divided internally, with factions such as the Knights Templar and the Knights Hospitaller vying for power. The battle. On July 4, 1187, near the Horns of Hattin, Salahuddin faced the combined Crusader armies led by Guy of Lusignan, the king of Jerusalem. Using brilliant tactics, Salahuddin lured the Crusaders into the arid plains, where they suffered from extreme heat and thirst. Encirclement. Salahuddin's forces surrounded the Crusaders, cutting off their access to water at Lake Tiberias. Exhaustion. The Crusaders, weakened by dehydration and fatigue, were unable to resist Salahuddin's relentless assaults. Decisive victory. The Crusader army was annihilated, and Guy of Lusignan was captured. The True Cross, a sacred relic carried by the Crusaders, was also seized. Outcome. The victory at Hattin paved the way for Salahuddin's reconquest of Jerusalem. It marked the beginning of the end for the Crusader states and is regarded as one of the most significant battles in Islamic history. Chapter 3. The Victory of Jerusalem, 1187. The capture of Jerusalem by Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi in 1187 stands as one of the most significant and celebrated events in Islamic history. This monumental achievement came after decades of Crusader control over the Holy City, which had been taken during the First Crusade in 1099. Salahuddin's victory was not only a military triumph but also a demonstration of his strategic brilliance, leadership, and moral character. Background and build-up to the siege. The Crusaders' occupation of Jerusalem had been a painful memory for the Muslim world since 1099. The massacre that followed the Crusaders' conquest left deep scars on the Islamic Ummah. Salahuddin, deeply committed to the cause of Islam, viewed the liberation of Jerusalem not only as a political objective but as a sacred duty. After his decisive victory at the Battle of Hattin, where he destroyed the Crusader army and captured King Guy of Lusignan, the path to Jerusalem lay open. Salahuddin wasted no time and began preparations to take back the city. The Muslim army was in high spirits, emboldened by their victory at Hattin, and united under Salahuddin's banner. Jerusalem was defended by a small force of Crusaders under the leadership of Balian of Ibelin, a nobleman who had returned to the city after being pardoned by Salahuddin. Despite their weakened state, the Crusaders fortified Jerusalem's defenses, determined to resist. The Siege of Jerusalem. Approaching the city, Salahuddin arrived at Jerusalem in mid-September 1187, leading a well-equipped and disciplined army. The city was encircled, and the siege began in earnest. Salahuddin's forces used a combination of traditional siege tactics, including bombardment with catapults, undermining the walls, and continuous assaults to pressure the defenders. Deployment of forces. Salahuddin's army was strategically deployed around the city. He stationed his troops at key points to ensure that no supplies or reinforcements could reach the besieged Crusaders. His engineers constructed siege engines and placed them at critical locations to breach Jerusalem's formidable walls. Initial assaults. Salahuddin's forces launched several assaults on the city's defenses, focusing on the northern and eastern walls. The defenders, despite their inferior numbers, fought valiantly, repelling many attacks. However, the Crusaders were stretched thin, and their resources began to dwindle. The turning point. The turning point in the siege came when Salahuddin's engineers successfully breached a section of the city's outer wall near the Tower of David. This breach exposed the Crusaders to greater pressure, forcing them to retreat to the inner defenses. The Muslim forces intensified their attacks while the defenders became increasingly desperate. The negotiations. Realizing that further resistance was futile, Balian of Ibelin sought an audience with Salahuddin to negotiate terms of surrender. Balian appealed to Salahuddin's sense of justice and mercy, pointing out the inevitability of the city's fall and requesting clemency for the civilian population. Salahuddin, true to his reputation as a compassionate and just leader, agreed to spare the lives of the city's inhabitants. However, he imposed a condition: those who wished to leave Jerusalem had to pay a ransom. The terms were as follows: men, 10 dinars, women, 5 dinars, children, 2 dinars. For those unable to pay, Salahuddin personally ensured that many were released without ransom. He even allocated funds from his treasury to free thousands of poor residents, demonstrating his magnanimity. The liberation of Jerusalem. On October 2, 1187, the city of Jerusalem officially surrendered to Salahuddin. This date coincided with the anniversary of the Prophet Muhammad's night journey, Isra wal Miraj, adding profound religious significance to the event. Salahuddin's humane conduct. One of the most remarkable aspects of the liberation of Jerusalem was Salahuddin's conduct. Unlike the Crusaders in 1099, who had massacred tens of thousands of Muslims and Jews upon taking the city, Salahuddin ensured that the reconquest was marked by mercy and restraint. Protection of holy sites. Salahuddin ordered the restoration of the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock, which had been desecrated during the Crusaders' occupation. Christian symbols were removed and the mosques were purified for Islamic worship. Freedom of worship. Christians were allowed to leave the city peacefully or remain under Muslim rule, practicing their religion freely. This act of tolerance earned Salahuddin widespread admiration, even among his enemies. Symbolic acts of unity. Salahuddin's liberation of Jerusalem was a unifying moment for the Muslim world. He invited scholars, religious leaders, and the general populace to celebrate the city's return to Islamic rule. The event served as a powerful symbol of the revival of Islamic power and the restoration of dignity to the Muslim Ummah. Impact of the victory, religious and cultural significance. The reconquest of Jerusalem was a monumental achievement that resonated deeply within the Islamic world. Salahuddin's victory was seen as a divine blessing and a fulfillment of the Muslim Ummah's prayers. It reinforced the importance of unity and faith in the face of adversity. Reaction in Christendom. The fall of Jerusalem shocked Europe and led to the launch of the Third Crusade, 1189-1192. Christian leaders, including Richard the Lionheart, Philip II of France, and Frederick Barbarossa, mobilized massive armies to retake the city. Despite their efforts, Jerusalem remained under Muslim control, a testament to Salahuddin's resilience and strategic acumen. Legacy of the victory. Salahuddin's conquest of Jerusalem cemented his status as one of history's greatest leaders. His combination of military brilliance, moral integrity, and compassion left an indelible mark on both the Islamic and Western worlds. For the Muslim Ummah, the liberation of Jerusalem became a source of inspiration, reminding future generations of the power of unity and faith. For the Crusaders, Salahuddin's conduct during the siege set a benchmark for chivalry and honorable warfare. This victory was not the end of Salahuddin's struggles. He continued to face challenges from the Crusaders during the Third Crusade and other battles. However, the liberation of Jerusalem remains the crowning achievement of his remarkable life, encapsulating his ideals of justice, mercy, and unwavering commitment to the cause of Islam. Chapter 4. Governance, Ethics, and Leadership of Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi. Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi's leadership extended far beyond the battlefield. As a ruler and founder of the Ayyubid dynasty, he demonstrated extraordinary governance skills, focusing on justice, unity, and the welfare of his people. His ethical approach to leadership and his emphasis on Islamic values set him apart as one of history's most respected rulers. This section explores Salahuddin's governance, ethical principles, and his lasting influence on the regions under his control. Consolidation of the Ayyubid dynasty. Following his ascent to power, Salahuddin focused on uniting the fragmented Muslim territories under a single banner. The Muslim world of the 12th century was deeply divided, with various dynasties vying for power. Salahuddin's ability to consolidate these territories into a cohesive and stable state was a remarkable achievement. Administrative reforms. Salahuddin reorganized the administrative structure of the regions under his rule to ensure efficiency and fairness. Key reforms included taxation. He implemented a fair taxation system, ensuring that the burden was not disproportionately placed on the lower classes. The revenue collected was used for public welfare, including the construction of schools, hospitals, and mosques. Military administration. Salahuddin strengthened the military by creating a disciplined and loyal army. He ensured that soldiers were well-trained, well-equipped, and motivated by a sense of duty, rather than personal gain, unifying the Muslim world. One of Salahuddin's greatest achievements was the unification of Egypt, Syria, and parts of Iraq under the Ayyubid dynasty. This unity was critical in resisting the Crusaders and restoring strength to the Muslim world. Salahuddin worked tirelessly to mediate disputes among rival factions, emphasizing the importance of solidarity in the face of external threats. Ethical leadership and Islamic values. Salahuddin's governance was deeply rooted in Islamic principles. He viewed himself not merely as a ruler but as a servant of Allah, responsible for ensuring justice and the well-being of his subjects. Justice and fairness. Salahuddin was renowned for his sense of justice. He ensured that all his subjects, regardless of their religion or social status, were treated fairly. Courts were established to address grievances, and corrupt officials were held accountable. His impartial approach earned him the respect of both Muslims and non-Muslims alike, compassion and mercy. Even during times of war, Salahuddin displayed unparalleled compassion. His humane treatment of prisoners, including high-ranking Crusader knights, became legendary. For instance, after the Battle of Hattin, Salahuddin spared King Guy of Lusignan and many other Crusader nobles, despite their role in the conflict. Promotion of education and knowledge. Salahuddin was a patron of education and knowledge. He established numerous madrasas, Islamic schools, and centers of learning throughout his realm. These institutions became hubs of intellectual activity, contributing to the revival of Islamic scholarship. Subjects such as theology, law, medicine, and astronomy flourished under his patronage. Public welfare and infrastructure. Salahuddin's commitment to the welfare of his people extended to the development of infrastructure and public services. Hospitals and healthcare. He established hospitals, known as Bimaristans, which provided free medical care to all, regardless of their background. These institutions were staffed by some of the best physicians of the time, and became models for healthcare in the medieval world. Water supply and sanitation. Recognizing the importance of clean water, Salahuddin initiated projects to improve water supply and sanitation in major cities. Public baths and water fountains were constructed, benefiting both urban and rural populations. Architectural projects. Salahuddin oversaw the construction of several mosques, madrasas, and fortifications. The Citadel of Cairo, one of his most famous projects, remains a testament to his vision and architectural legacy. Diplomacy and relations with non-Muslims. Salahuddin's ethical leadership extended to his interactions with non-Muslim communities. He ensured that Christians and Jews living in his territories were allowed to practice their religions freely. His tolerance and inclusivity set an example for coexistence in a time often marked by sectarian conflict. Treaties and alliances. Salahuddin was a skilled diplomat who understood the importance of negotiation. His treaties with Crusader leaders, including King Richard the Lionheart during the Third Crusade, showcased his ability to balance strength with diplomacy. The ideal of leadership. Salahuddin's leadership style was characterized by humility and selflessness. Despite his immense power, he led a simple life, often refusing luxuries and devoting himself to the service of his people. Personal character. Piety. Salahuddin was deeply religious, performing his prayers regularly and seeking guidance from scholars and clerics. Generosity. He was known for his generosity, often distributing wealth to the poor and funding public projects from his own treasury. Humility. Unlike many rulers of his time, Salahuddin avoided arrogance and pride. He treated his subjects with respect and sought their counsel on important matters. Challenges and legacy. Despite his many achievements, Salahuddin faced significant challenges during his reign. These included internal rebellions. Some regions resisted his authority, requiring careful negotiation and, at times, military action to maintain unity. Ongoing crusades. The threat from European powers persisted throughout his life, demanding constant vigilance and preparation. Lasting impact. Salahuddin's governance set a standard for Islamic leadership. His emphasis on justice, unity, and moral integrity continues to inspire leaders and scholars worldwide. His model of ethical governance remains a benchmark for statesmanship in both the Islamic and Western traditions. Salahuddin Ayyubi's rule was a golden era for the regions under his control. His ability to combine military strength with compassionate leadership ensured the prosperity and stability of his realm. More importantly, his example serves as a timeless reminder of the potential for leaders to uphold the values of justice, mercy, and humility, even in the most challenging circumstances. The liberation of Jerusalem in 1187 was not just a military victory, it was a testament to Salahuddin's wisdom, compassion, and unshakable devotion to his cause. His conduct during and after the siege set a standard of leadership that resonates even in our times. The events we have shared today reveal not just the brilliance of a conqueror, but the heart of a true servant of his faith and his people. The story of Salahuddin Ayyubi is not merely a chapter of the past, but a timeless inspiration for unity, justice, and mercy. In the next part of this series, we will explore Salahuddin's continued struggles during the Third Crusade, and his legendary interactions with King Richard the Lionheart, a tale of respect between adversaries and the challenges of sustaining an empire. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to AI Deen Vision for more captivating stories from the pages of history. Until next time, stay inspired, stay united, and let the legacy of great leaders guide us forward. Allah Hafiz.